Welcome back to the fourth part of our ICO DApp project. This is where we left in the last video. We have completed the index page, the context management, and the wallet configuration. Now we're going to start working on our header section. So every single thing is looking good. And let's minimize this one and let's make on the big screen. Because first we're going to work on the functionality which we're going to have in the header section. One is going to be very big part of our project where we have the mega menu. So I have already done the import which you will have in the startup file. So we have the states import, we have the icons, we have this particular icon import, and we have our environment variable. And here you will find that we have the mega menu. So we don't need to spend much time designing mega menu structure. So if I open that one, you will find all of this icons, the name, that's all is given, the URL. So if you want to change, you can simply replace with your data. But this is the mega menu. Now we have to start working on our actual logic. So first I'm going to import our wallet connect component, and that's coming from the global environment. So we'll say this, we'll go back to the global, and from there we can get that custom connect button. And that's what I have to call it here. So we got our custom button. Now we have to start working on the logic. So first we have to import the props which we have sent in our header component. So it's the dark mode. Then we have the toggle dark mode, and this is the mega menu. Now before we start working on the JSS, let's write down all the important functions which allow us to have the feature of scroll behavior, animation, and the trigger event. So we can come back here. Let's take the state variable and let's call this use open. By default it will be false. Then we can come back here. Let's take another one and let's call this scroll position, and it will be 0 because we have to calculate the screen width, and based on that we have to trigger the event. Then we can come back here. Let's take another one. Let's call this is header sticky. By default it will be false. Take another one. Let's call this active mega menu. It will be null. We'll take another one. Let's call this is scrolled. By default it will be false. Then we'll take time out ref, and we'll have this use ref which we have imported, and let's call that. By default it will be null. We'll take another one, call this menu ref, and we'll call this null. So this is all the states we have taken, and we're going to simply play around with this. These are the states. Now we can come back here and let's write down the functions. So first we're going to be toggle menu, which allow us to simply toggle the menu as the name suggests. So we can come back here. Let's call this set is open. By default it will be dynamic. So if it's true it will turn to false. If it's false it will turn to true. We have that. Now we can come back to the next one. Let's call this use effect, and this one is going to be trigger when the page will reload. So we can come back here and we make it empty string because I want to call this particular hook only once at the time of page reload, in which we have to build the logic. We'll say handle click outside, and it will have the event in which we have to build the condition. So we'll say if menu ref current and menu ref current contain event, then we have to simply trigger and call this particular logic. So in which we have to simply set the variable which is null by default. Okay, simple logic, simple JavaScript. Now this is fine. We can come back here, and now we have to simply call the DOM element. So we'll take this add event listener, and we have to add the class. So let's call this mouse down, and we'll call the function we have developed handle click outside, and we have to simply return. Let's take a callback function, and we'll say document remove event listener, and we have to simply remove the event and call the same function. Very simple, which will trigger for mouse down. So when someone will press, it will open and it will close. Perfect. We got it. This is fine. And that's what we are calling. Now we can come back here. Let's take a variable call handle menu leave. And this is an event. So when the mouse will over on the mega menu, so it will automatically open the mega menu. So that's the logic we are developing. So let's build that function, and in which we have to simply call this timeout ref current, and we have to simply use the set timeout, in which we'll take the callback function and we have to call this set active menu to be null. Then we can come back here and we want to execute it for 3 milliseconds. Perfect. That's the simple one. And we can come back here. Let's take another one called use effect, in which we have to do a couple of checks. So we can come back here. We'll take this variable called handle scroll, and we have to trigger the scroll behavior. So when the user will scroll the screen, we want to have the animation which come down from top and then our header will stick. So that feature we are working on. So let's come back here. So first we have to simply take this set is scroll to window, and we have that object called page Y offset, and we'll go with 50, but you can play around with this value. Then we can come back here. We'll take window, add event listener, and we have to add the scroll event, and we'll call the function. Then we have to do the same thing which we have done, and let's call this window, remove event listener, and we'll call the function. And this scroll event is ready to trigger. Now we can come back here. We'll take a variable called header classes. And here I'm going to define all the classes because we're going to have a dynamic classes based on the event and based on normal behavior. So we can come back here. Let's take a template tutorial and define with full, transition, all, duration 500, easy out, and we'll have a dynamic class which is coming based on the mode, whether it's a light mode and dark mode. So we'll say if dark mode is true, then we're going to add this, our brand color E0 B12, and we'll have a 90%. We'll say backdrop blur medium, else we'll go with the white background with same percentage 95. Backdrop blur, we'll have a medium, and that looks perfect. Simple. That's for the dark mode. Now we'll take another dynamic condition. So let's come back here. Let's take this. We'll say is header tricky, because that's also we have to check, because header will have a normal state and the sticky state based on the scroll. So let's come back here. If the state is true, then we'll say fix top 0, left 0, z index 50, width is going to be full. We'll have a shadow large, and we'll have an animate slow slide down. We'll have a border bottom, and else we'll add the relative border bottom, and this looks fine. So this is our sticky header behavior. Now we can come back here like this, take the third dynamic class for the dark mode. We'll say if the dark mode is true, we'll say border gray 800 50%. Then we'll take the another one called border gray 250, and that's our dynamic class we have for the header, which will trigger based on the event as well as the dark mode and the light mode. Now we can come back here, and this looks fine. We don't need to add anything else here. We have the ecosystem, we have the title. So this is all we have. If you want to replace, you can simply replace the link, but the rest of the thing, just keep it as it is. Just complete the project. After that, do all the experiment, and this is all fine we have. So this is the MegaMenu boilerplate we have. Perfect. Now what we can do, come back here, close this one. We can start working on the JSX. So what I will do, I'll come back here. Let's make it side by side so we can see what exactly we are working on. Let's come back here, and I'll come back here. Let's have a look. This is fine. I'm missing anything? No. Now we can simply come back here and let's remove this and bring it down. Let's take a template retro fragment, and now we'll take this block. We'll say is header is tricky. If that's the true, then we're going to simply display this particular div. It will have a class called height. We'll have a 90 pixels. Medium will have a height 98 pixels. That's the dynamic one. If the header is sticky. Now we can come back here and I can see something. So let's come back here. Let's format this one. Come back. Now we can take the header tag. It will have a class. We'll take a dynamic and we'll have a template tutorial. We'll say width full. We'll have a transition all, duration 500, easy out, fix, top 0, left 0, z index 500, width full. We'll have a shadow large. We'll have a animate slow slide down, and we'll have a border bottom, and we'll have our dynamic class based on the mode. So we'll say if dark mode is true, then we have to background, we'll have our brand color, which is EB12 95%, backdrop blur medium, and we'll have our border gray to be 850, and we have to add the else statement. Let's call this background white 95, backdrop blur medium, border gray 200, and we'll have the 50%. Looks fine, good. Now we can come back here and we'll take this ref is going to be menu ref. Simple, not that complicated. I hope you can follow it very easily. So we have done with all of that, and I can notice one thing, that whatever we are writing, somehow it's not displaying. So maybe I have done some sort of import wrong. So this is the header we have, and I can see that this is the header. We have written so many code, but nothing is happening. So what you can do, select all and copy, and I can see the problem, what is happening here. So come back here, and right now you can see that I'm writing the code in the global component, global header, but we have to write the code in the homepage header. So we are writing in there. So come back, click here, and here you have to write the code. So come back, select all and copy, and that's what we have to simply paste here in this one. Remove and paste. Got it? And we can come back to the global one, and we can simply type RFC. Perfect. Now it will work fine. So close the global one, and this is our home page. Now it's looking good. Perfect. Now we can come back to the header. Inside that we'll type hi, and you can see it's reflecting fine. Means now we are in the right component. Now what we can do, we can simply start working. So let's come back here. Let's take a dynamic block. We'll say if scrolled is not true, or whether it's false, not true, then we have to render this particular div, and we'll have a class called relative. We'll have a padding 3, overflow header, white space, no wrap. Inside that we'll take a div. It will have a class called absolute, inset 0, background going to be gradient to right, and we'll have a font, and this is the second primary color we have, and we'll have the two purple 600, and when I have a over effect, we'll say 600. Same we have to apply for over effect is the purple one to be 700, and we'll have a text white, and there it is. You can see it looks beautiful. Now we can see absolute inset. We have this relative padding, this good, this is fine. I'm not missing anything. This is the exact branding color we are using. Perfect. Now we can come back here. Let's add the class called ZIndex0. Inside the div, we'll take a div. It will have a class called absolute. We'll say inset 0, ZIndex0. We'll have a opacity 20, and it will have a custom style. So we'll take this style tag, and we'll have a background image to be our gradient type of image. We're going to have it. So let's take this call radial gradient. We'll have the circle. In that we can take the RGB color, and we can define that. We'll say 250, 255, 255, 255, and we'll go by 0.15. 1 pixels. We'll have a transparent 1 pixels. Out of that we will take this radial gradient, and we can define the same variable. So we'll take this RGB 255, and we'll have this 0.1. We'll have 1 pixels, transparent 1 pixels, and that's our background image. Perfect. Now we can come back here, take this background size is going to have 20 pixels, 20 pixels, 30 pixels, 30 pixels. Got it? Now we can take this background position to be 0, 0, and we'll have the 15 pixels, 50 pixels. So this is the custom style we have added on the div. Now we can come back here inside the, and it's going to be a cell. It's going to be a closing div. Okay, it's just for styling purpose we are using it. Now we can take the div. It will have a class called animate marquee, and this is the animation class we're going to create customly. So just give the name and remember it. It will have an inline block, white space, no wrap, text white, relative ZIndex 10s. Inside that we'll take a span. It will have a class called max 4, margin x, x is 4, text small, medium will take text basis. Inside the span will display our token name. So we already have that in the environment variable. Let's give that and save it. And we'll give this token symbol and we'll have our message called presale is now live. Be part of the future, claim your discount token and exclusive access to AI blockchain technology. You can give all the message which you have based on your branding. I'm just going with this dummy text. Now we have this. Come back here. We'll take another span. Let's have a class called margin x1 and we'll say hey. And in this, I'm going to define the icon. You can display the emoji. Right now, I'm giving this hey, but I'm going to replace with an emoji. And let's take this don't. Let's have the comma and t. Wait. Join the innovative web today, and we'll have a span. It will have a class called margin left one, and this is fine. Now what we can do is let's open a new tab and let's get the emoji. Type fire emoji. Click here, and we can copy, and that's what we can paste here. Just paste here. Now we can come back here. Let's type this world emoji. Click here, copy, and that's what we can paste here in place of hey. And that's the looks fine. Now you can see, just reload the page and every single thing is working fine. The animation is working good. Now I can see that this is fine. I think there is a problem in the closing tag. Why they are very close to the text. So I can see that. So this one is the self-closing one. So what I can do, I can simply cut this one and that's what I have to bring it here because this one is just for styling like this one. Paste here and save it. Now you will see, now we have the proper height. Perfect. So we got this. This is fine. And this look good. So we are done with the top notification bar. Now we can come back here. Let's take a div. It will have a class called container. Margin X auto. X padding X 4. Padding Y 4. We'll have justify between item center. Inside that we'll take a div. It will have a class called flex item center. Inside that we'll take a link tag and let's close this one. Let's define the property. We'll take href and we'll go back to the home page. Let's have a class called flex item center. We'll have a group. And inside this link, we can take our div. It will have a class called relative width 10, height 10, margin right 3, and we'll have a overflow hidden. Inside that, we'll take a div. It will have a class called absolute insert 0. Then it's going to be a self-closing one, okay? Just for decorative purpose. Now we can come back here. We'll take a div. It will have a class called absolute insert 1 flex item center justify center. Inside that we'll take our image, the logo, and this logo is already coming from the public folder. So I'll simply give the location logo.png. There it is. I can give this called logo and let's add the classes. So let's call this width is going to be 8 and height is going to be 8. We'll have our object container. Perfect. Now we can simply come back here and we can define our text. We'll take a span. It will have a class called text 3xl font bold. We have the background. We'll use the clip text and we'll have the text transparent. Background is going to be our gradient to right and we'll have our brand color. Purple is going to be 600 and we'll have our animated gradient X. We'll have the animation and inside that span we're going to take our text, the token name, and looks fine. There it is. You can see looks perfect. Now we can come back here. We'll take a nav. We'll take a class called hidden large. We'll say flex item center space x6. Inside that we'll take a div. It will have a class called relative group and it will have a on mouse enter event and we have to call this callback function, the function we have developed called handle menu over, and inside that we have to simply pass the menu, the MegaMenu event. So it's a ecosystem. That's the one. Now we have to simply add the mouse leave function. So I guess I to build this particular function. So come back here on top and we have to add the over function, mouse over function. So we already have the function for leave. Let's write on top up here. So this is fine. Simply copy, paste here, and let's write it down. Change this to over, and this is fine. Now all we have to do is to remove this one, take the clear timeout, and then we have to take this time ref. We'll get the current, and then we have to simply set the menu to be menu ID, and perfect. Our over effect is done. Now we can simply start working where we left. So come back. There it is. So both the function we have, the over and the leave. Now once we're done with that, come back inside the div. We'll take a button. It will have a class, a dynamic one. So we'll take this flex item center space x1 padding y2 padding x3 1, and we'll have a transition color. We'll have a dynamic class. So we'll say if dark mode is true, then we'll say text gray 300 over effect will add the brand color, else we'll get this text gray 700 and we'll have a over which we have the tell 600. So this is the combination we are using. We got it. Now we can come back here. Let's add a dynamic one called MegaMenu. If it's equal to the active menu, we'll say ecosystem. Then we have to apply this class, the brand one, else we can go with no class. Then we can simply add the onClick function and we'll call this set active menu to the active menu. If it's equal to our ecosystem, then we'll say null, otherwise we'll go with the ecosystem. Very simple function we have. We are updating the state, so it will open the entire mega menu. Now we can come back here. We'll take a span. We'll say ecosystem. We'll take the icon and let's apply the classes. We'll say class. We'll say transition transform. We'll have a duration 300 and we'll have a dynamic call active menu. If it's equal to ecosystem, then apply this. We'll have a rotate 180, else go nothing. Simple. Perfect. So this is the first mega menu we have. Now we're going to have the same one because we're going to have two mega menu. So let's come back and we have to copy this one. So I'll simply come here and let's close this one. And we can simply copy this one and paste here. And all we have to do is to change the name. So it will have the same event. Let's change this to, let's call this resources. Copy this one, and the same thing you have to do and provide in other places. Instead of ecosystem, simply select all and replace and change this to capital R. And that's the only thing. This is the two mega menu. We got it. Now we can come back here and we're going to have a two normal link. So let's take this link tag and let's assign the property. So we'll take this explore URL. And I want to allow the user to redirect to the explore page. So we have already have the contract address, which is coming from the environment variable. So we'll take this, come back here. If I go back to environment variable, and there we have this link to address. Simply copy, and that's what we can simply come back here and I have to simply provide here. So let's change this to TBC address, paste here, simply copy and paste here. Got it. Now simply copy and come all the way here and we have to change here as well. So first remove this, get out of this, and then we have to paste this one. That's the first thing. Now we have to replace in other places as well. So let's copy the URL, link to address, and we have to change here as well in the menus. So change this one. Then we have to change this 193. We can come here and change here as well. Now it's perfect. You can see the animation is working absolutely fine. So we got the first link. Now let's add other property. So let's come back here. We'll add the target is going to be blank. So it will open in a new tab. We'll add a classes, click the template padding 2, padding x1. We'll have a transition color. We'll have the dynamic color. If it's dark, we'll take the sticks gray 300 over effect. We'll have the branding color. Otherwise, we'll go with the default secondary color we have. Text till 600. Perfect. We got the link. Now we can come back here. We'll take this explore. And that's what we have. Simply copy this one and paste here. And I noticed one thing that this is fine. We have to redirect the user. Simply remove this one. And I want to redirect to the dashboard page. Remove this one. And let's add the link to, and I want to add the icon as well. So let's make on the big screen. You can see so far every single thing is looking good. We have the menu and on the event is working, but somehow I'm getting this error. Okay, the menu ID is missing. I can see the problem. This one is missing. Simply reload the page, but the event is working fine. You can see on over event is working absolutely fine. It's not a big deal. We can easily fix that. Perfect. Now we can come back here in the function, and here we have to simply import. Let's take the function. Now it will work fine. You load the page and give auto. Now you can see the arrow is working good. Perfect. Now we can come back here. Let's come down and let's have a look. So I'm not missing anything. Let's make it side by side so we can see what exactly we are working on. Let's do it properly. Click here and bring it on the right. Perfect. Now let's come back here. And I want to do one thing. Let's come here. We're done with all the menu for the desktop. Now we can come back here. Let's take a div. We'll have a class called hidden. On the last skin, we'll say flex item center space X. Let's call this space X4. Inside that, we'll take a button and we'll have an on click function, the toggle dark mode. It will have the class. We'll take the dynamic class. We'll say padding 2, rounded full, transition all, duration 300. We'll tag the dynamic class. On the dark mode, we want to add the gray gradient. So this is the gradient branding color I'm using. To right, we'll have the from, we'll have the purple 600, and on over effect, the same one we have to apply. The first one with the 600 and the other one is going to be, our purple one is going to be 700. And text is going to be white, and let's add the else statement. And I want to add the same branding in the else statement. So simply copy and paste here. Perfect. We got it. So same thing I'm going to have to apply in the both light and dark mode. Now we can come back here. Let's add this attribute. So will this Arial label to be have a dynamic one. So we'll say if dark mode, so we'll say switch to light mode, else we'll say switch to dark mode. Now inside the button, we have to take the dynamic class. So we'll take this is dark mode. Then I want to display the different icon. So we'll say sun. It will have a size 2. Let's say 20. And in the else block, we can add the moon icon, which is 20. And I can see the icon name is wrong. It's sorry, SUN, not M. Remove this one, M. Now it's working fine. Got it? So this is the our toggle icon for light and dark mode. Now we can come back here. We'll take an anchor tag. Let's redirect the user to the dashboard page. Let's add the classes called group. Inside that, we'll take a div. It will have a class called width 10, height 10. Background is going to be the same, to right. We'll have a second. You can simply copy this one, and that's what we can paste here. And let's add the other classes. So this is fine. Remove this one. We'll take rounded full, flex item center, justify center, transition all, duration 300, and we'll have a shadow medium. And on over effect, we'll have the shadow large. We'll have an over effect. We'll say scale 105. Perfect. Inside that, we can take the span. It will have a class called text white. In that, we can display the details, the name. So this is good. This is good. Now I can come back here. I can get the SVG icon, which is already given. So all the SVG icons you will find right up here. So come back to the global. Inside that, you will have this SVG, and you can simply copy it. So you can see I have given this name header 1. So that's what you can copy, and that's what you have to paste here. And got it. So all the icon, SVG icon, you will find here. So we got our icon. Perfect. Now we can come back here and we can take our custom connect button, which we're going to develop. Let's add the prop to active is going to be true. And that's the only thing we want to receive. Let's make on the big screen to see. You can see every single thing is working fine. The button is there, but somehow the icon color is not displaying. So this is the one we have to fix. The toggle is looking absolutely perfect. We can toggle between light and dark. Perfect. Now I can come back here and I can see the problem. There is a double B. So like all you have to do is to remove this one and save it. Come back to the browser and there it is. The color is applied successfully. Perfect. Toggle it and you will have this one. Perfect. You can see the over effect is working, but the component we have to develop so it go to open. We haven't developed yet. So let's make on the big screen. Let's make it side by side so we can see what exactly we are working on. So we're done with this particular section, the desktop. Now we have to work on the mobile one and the pop-up component. So come back here, we'll take a div, it will have a class called flex. On the last screen, we'll say hidden, item center, space x4. It will have a button and it will have an on-click function on that. We'll say toggle dark mode. And we already have this particular classes. We can come back here and I'm going to simply copy this particular button because it's going to have the similar structure. So let's replace here and you will find the button is reflecting fine. So we can simply toggle it. And now we have to simply check the classes and we need to just keep it as it is. Every single thing is looking good. The toggle mode is also working absolutely fine. Now let's go ahead. We'll take a dynamic block and now we have to work on our mega menu, the pop-up model. On the base of the click event and on the base of the over effect we have to work. So let's take this object.key and it's going to take the mega menu on which we have to run the map. It will take a callback function and let's build the entire one. So we'll take the variable call menu, mega menu will pass the menu key. Then we can come back here. Let's take this return statement and work on the entire JSX. So it will have a div. Let's close this one. It will have a key to be mega menu, menu key, and let's apply the classes. Absolute, left 0, width full, z index 40, transition all, duration 300, transform will have a dynamic class called say if mega menu have an active state, then we'll say this menu key, if it's equal to menu key, then we'll say opacity 100, translate y 0, and we'll have a pointer event auto. Else we can go with opacity 0, transition y in the negative -2, and we'll have a pointer event none. Then we can add the dynamic class called if it's dark mode, that will apply the background, our branding color 14101A 95%, and we'll have the blur effect. Medium will have the border bottom, and we'll have the text going to be like border gray 850. Else we can go with the white 95, backdrop blur medium, border bottom, and we'll have the color. So we'll say border gray 250%. Perfect. Now we can come back here. Let's add the shadow XL. And we're going to add the events. We'll say on mouse enter. We have to call the function we have developed called handle menu over. We can pass the menu key because that's what we are receiving on the over. And we're going to have the event. So mouse on mouse leave, we have the function called handle menu leave. Inside the div, we can take the div. It will have a class called container, margin x auto, padding y8, padding x4. Inside that, we'll take a div. It will have a class called grid, grid column 1. On a small screen, we'll say grid, let's say column 2. On the medium, we'll say grid column 3, and on the large, we'll have the 4 columns. We'll have a gap to be 6 pixels. Inside that, we'll take a dynamic block and we have to render the data. So we'll take this menu, column, and we have to simply run the loop. So we can say column, index, and it's going to have the instant callback. So we'll take a div. It will have a key to be ID, and it will have a class called space y4. Inside that, we'll take the h4 tag. Let's h3. And let's call this class to be our dynamic class. So we'll take this text, small, font, bold, uppercase. We'll have a tracking, wider, and we'll have a dynamic class. So if dark mode, then we can say text gray 400, else text gray 500. Perfect. Now we can display the text we already have. So we'll take this column dot title. And we can come back here. Let's take this UL and we have to render all the menu. So we'll take this. We'll have a class called space y2. Inside that, we'll take our data. So we'll take this column link map and we have the link index and it's going to instant return. So what we can do, let's take a li, close this one. Now it's gone. Now we can assign the ID, link ID, and we can apply the URL because user will have the menu. So let's call the href link.ref. It will have the trigger is going to be blank And let's apply the classes. So we'll take the step tutorial, we'll say flex, item center, space x2, padding y, 1, transition, color, and we'll have a duration to 200. We'll have a dynamic class. Let's call this if dark mode. Then we'll have this text gray 300. On over effect, we'll go with the branding color. Else, we'll go with the text gray 700. And on over effect, we go with the tail 600. Perfect. Then we can have a click event. We'll say on click. We can call the set active menu to be our null. And in that, we can simply assign the span and display the data. So we'll take the class called text large and we'll have the link dot icon, and we also have the name of the menu. So let's take this link dot label, and I can see one problem. I have attached this href and all of this event on the li, but I have to attach on the link. So what I can do, I can come back here. Inside the li. I'll take a link tag. Let's close this one, and I have to apply all this property. So let's select here, from here, cut, and that's what you have to paste here and save it. Got it. Now we can take this portion as well inside the link tag, cut this one and paste here. Now it's perfect. That's perfect. Got it. I hope you get follow it. Looks good. This is our entire mega menu. Now we can come back here and we have to work on the feature box. So if I toggle it, working fine. Let's make on the big screen, and if I over it, you can see it's working. On over effect, the trigger is happening and it's opening. Now we have to work on the box, the feature box. So this is fine. Come back here. Let's make it side by side so we can see what exactly we are working on. Now we can come back here right below and let's turn the dark mode. Let's take the div. It will have a class. We'll say rounded XL padding 6, and we'll have our menu feature box background because it will have a color, and inside this we'll take a h3. We'll take the class. Let's call this text XL font bold, like padding bottom 2. Background is going to be clip text. Well, text transparent background gradient to R, and we'll have a branding color, and we'll have our purple. Inside that we can display the menu feature title. Perfect. Now we can take the p tag. It will have a class called text small margin bottom 4, and we'll have our dynamic class dark mode text gray 300, and we'll have a text gray 700. Inside the p we can display the description. So we'll take this menu feature box description, and then we can come out of this p. We'll take the link, and it will have the menu feature dot link URL. It will have a target blank. We'll have a class called inline flex item center space x1 font medium background clip text, and we'll have this text transparent background is going to be gradient to right, and we'll have a brand color, so 500, and we'll have a purple to 600, and it will have a on click event. So let's call this set active menu, in which we can pass the null. Inside that we can simply display the text. So we'll take a span. It will have the menu feature and the link text, and we can also display the small arrow. So what I can do, I can simply come back here in the browser and let's type for arrow emoji. Click here, and you can simply find, I guess I won't find here. Let's go back here. Now let's click on this one, and let's copy, or you can keep it blank, there's no problem. Let's copy this one, and that's what we can use it. Okay, come back here and paste here, save it. Let me click this one, and now we have the arrow. Perfect. So this is our feature. Now let's make on the big screen to see every single thing is looking good. Let's reload the page and let's over on it, and here you will find that our feature box is working fine. So you can see looks good. This one is also working. Toggle the color, the branding, every single thing is looking good. Perfect. So we have this box. Let's make it side by side, and now we can start working on the mobile. So the desktop version is absolutely fine. So let's come back here. We'll take a div. We'll have a class. We'll say large hidden fixed insert y0 z index 50, and we'll have a left 0 with 4 by 5. We'll max with this excel, and we'll have this transform transition transform. We'll say duration is going to be 300, easy in out, and we'll have a dynamic class. So let's call this is open. Then we can apply this class. We'll say transition translate x0, else we can go with the negative one. We'll say full. Then we can apply the another one, which is for dark mode. We'll take this background to be our branding, like 1a. We'll have a border to be right, border gray 850%. Then we'll add the else statement to be white, border right, gray 250%. Perfect. Now we can come back here. We'll have the style to be height is going to be 100 viewport. So I'm going a little faster because this is just GSS, the styling part we are doing. So I'll go a little faster here. Then we can have an overflow to be auto. Perfect. This is good, but somehow our icon is, I think, missing. So it looks good. Now come back here inside the div. It will take a div. It will have a class called full, height full, overflow auto. Inside that we'll take a div. It will have a class called padding 5, border bottom. We'll have a dynamic class for the dark and light mode. So let's call this border gray 850%. Else we'll go with border gray 250%, and we'll have this flex justify between item center. Inside the div we'll take a link, and let's add the property. We'll say href to be home page. Then we'll have a class called flex item center. We'll have a on click event. We'll say set is open, and we'll say false. Inside that we'll take a div. We'll have a class called relative, width 10, height 10, margin right 3, overflow header. Inside the div we'll take a div. We'll have a class called absolute, insert 0, and it's going to be a self closing div. Okay, let's take another div. We'll have a class called absolute, insert 1, flex item center, justify container, justify center. Inside that we have to display the image. So we'll take this logo and call png. We have that one. We'll add this logo, and let's add the classes called width 6, height 6, and we'll have an object content. Perfect. Now we can come back here. Let's take a span, display the text. So we'll take this text to Excel, font, bold, background going to be clip text, and text transparent, background going to be to right. We'll have a branding color. Then we'll have the second branding color purple, and we'll have this animate gradient X. This is going to be our custom class which we're going to create. Perfect. Now inside this span we can display the token name. Perfect. So this is the link we have. Now we can come back here. We'll take a button. It will have a on click event, and this is going to be our close button. So we'll take this on click, and we'll call the function called toggle menu. It will have a class. Our on focus we'll say outline none. Let's add the light and dark mode. We'll say text 500, branding color, else we'll go with the purple one. Then we can take this attribute, and we can say close menu. Inside the button we can display our close icon. Let's assign the sign 24, and it's not small x, it's a capital X. Perfect. Now it looks good. Now we can come back here. We'll take a div. We'll have a class called padding 5. Inside that we'll take a nav, and this navigation is going to be for the mobile. So we'll say class name is going to be flex column. Inside that we'll take this mobile accommodation item. So it's going to be a reusable component because we're going to have multiple MegaMenu component. So let's define that, and in which we're going to send the prop. So right now I'm getting this one. So let's do one thing. Let's copy this one and come and create a component here. So we'll say const component, and it's going to receive a couple of props. Like we have to receive the title, we have to receive the item, dark mode, and the toggle menu. So as of now, just keep it as it is. Once we complete the upper portion, then we're going to start working on this one. So this looks good. Now let's quickly send the prop and all the data. We'll say title is going to be ecosystem. You can display multiple menu, but I'm going with this to one ecosystem and the feature one. Let's send the dark mode item. So it's going to be an array of data. So we'll take this object. First, we have to define the icon. It will have a class called text, brand color, and let's close this one. Then we have the label link to AI, and we'll have the URL. Now simply copy and quickly paste a couple of times and change this to icon. Change the name and copy and paste. This will be our layer framework. Copy paste and change this to be fix compass, and this will be our explorer. So this is all the menu we are sending for, but you can have multiple. Let's come back here. Let's set the toggle menu to be the toggle menu. So this is the first set of menu we have. Simply copy and paste here, and let's do the changes. This one is going to be resources. Let's change this to be file text, white paper. This will be the map, import token. This will be our document, and let's call this to be FN book, and this will be our database, and let's call this analytic, and the rest of the thing is absolutely fine. Okay, we got it. Now we can come back here. Let's take a link. Let's provide the href, and we have this explore URL, and we have the link to address. That's what we are providing. And what we can do is we already have done this hard work, so we can come back here and we're going to copy the classes. So where is the menu? We already have work up here, so I'll simply copy this one, and that's what I can provide here. So simply come here, paste here. Got it? Now here we have to do a few changes. So let's remove this one and add flex, item center, space, x2, padding y4, border, bottom, and let's remove this one. We'll say border gray 80, 50% text gray 300. On over effect we'll have our brand color, and copy, and the same thing we have to apply in the same one. And let's change this to 200, and this will be 700, and this will be 600. Perfect. And this is explore, absolutely fine. And I want to have one more, so simply copy and paste here, and let's change this, remove. It's going to be a dashboard. Remove this one, and this is fine. Let's come here and let's add an on click event here. So we'll say on click, and it will take this set is open to false, and here we have to display the explore. Let's take another span for the icon. So let's take this, not a span, we'll take the icon straight away. We'll say if I compass, and we'll parse the property, the size. Now I can simply copy this one, and that's what I can simply paste here, and I can change the icon to be info, and this will be a database. Perfect. Looks absolutely incredible. So we're done with this. Now we can come back here, and we have to display the connect to wallet button here. So let's take a div. It will have a class called margin top 8. Inside that we can display our custom button, which we're going to work. Right now we haven't developed it. This is fine. Now we can come back here. We'll take our dynamic. So we'll take the is open. If it's true that we have to display this one, we'll take a div. It will have a class called on medium device. We have to hide it. We'll say fixed insert 0. We'll have the z index 40, and we'll have a background black, background opacity 50. We'll have a backdrop, so blur effect on a small, and we have the transition opposite transition opacity. We'll have the duration to be 300, and it will have an on click function, which we have the toggle menu. Perfect. Now looks good to me. Now we can come back here and let's add the custom styling. So we'll take the style tag j6 and let's apply that one. So let's add the keyframe because we have to add the animation. We'll say Mercury, and we want to start from 0. We'll say transform. We'll say translate x is going to be 100%, and on the 100% we can simply say transform translate x is going to be minus 100%. So it will go and up. Perfect. Now we can come back here. Let's take this animate query, the animation, and we can define that. We'll say animation going to be our animation name second 20-second. We'll say linear infinity. We'll add the display to be inline block Perfect. And this is the animation we have now. Perfect. We got the animation. Now we have to work on this. So this is good. Let's make on the big screen to see everything is looking fine. So things are fine. This is good. This is good. Now let's check this. Okay, this one is also good. Somehow the button for the menu is not displaying, so I have to check. I think I forgot to add the button. So let's have a look one more time. And we have the toggle icon. And there it is. So we have this object. Let's close this one. And here we have to add the button, the mobile button. So let's come back here. Let's take a button. It will have a on click function. And we have to say toggle menu. Let's apply the classes. And we'll say focus, outline none. We'll have our dynamic class. We'll take this text, primary color, else we'll go with the secondary color, indigo. We'll have the attribute to be toggle menu. Inside that we can display the icon. So we'll say is open true. Then we have to display this icon. Otherwise we have to display the regular icon menu and save it with a size. And that's the only thing we have to do. So it will be hidden on the desktop, but the moment I will simply reload and make on the mobile device is going to be visible. There it is. Now I can click and here we have the sidebar. Perfect. Perfect. Looks great. Close this one. Come back here. So let's make it side by side and bring it here. Now we have to work on the last one. This is good. Click and it's redirecting because we haven't worked yet. So come back here. Perfect. Now we can come back here. We're going to start working on the component. So we have already done the props. Now let's take a variable called is open. If it's false, yes, by default will be false. Then we'll take a JSX, we'll take the return, we'll take a div, it will have a class. Let's call this border bottom. It will have a dark mode on which we have to call our border gray 850%, else we'll go with our gray 250%. Inside that we'll take the button. It will have a class and we'll have say flex item center justify between width full padding y4. On the dark mode we can add the color to be text gray 300, else we go with the text gray 700. We'll have a on click set is open to is open, so vice versa. If it's so true to make it false, if it's false so make it true. Now we can come back. A type is going to be button. We'll have the attribute to be expanded to be, let's say, is open. So it will have either true or false. Now inside that we can take the span. It will have a class called flex item center space x2. In that we can display our icon, the drop down icon, and it will have a class called transition transform. Duration is going to be 300 and we'll have our dynamic class. We'll say rotate 180%, else nothing. So when the user will over or click is going to rotate 180%. Then we can come back here, take a text. We'll already have that title and that's what we are rendering. And now we can come back here. Let's take a div. It will have a class called overflow hidden transition all duration 300. We'll have a dynamic class. We'll say max height 96 and we'll have the max height 0. Inside that we'll take a div. It will have a class called padding left 6 padding bottom 2 space y2. Inside that we'll take this item and we have to render it. So we'll say items map item index. We'll take the link and let's add the property. So we'll take this item link, will have a key is index. Okay, I made a mistake. So it's item call ref, and we'll have this target blank. We'll have the class call flex item center space x2 padding y3, and we'll have a dynamic color. We'll say text gray 400. On over effect we'll say text our branding color, else we'll go with text gray 600. On over effect we'll go with the second branding color till 600. Perfect. Now we can have the other class called transition color. It will have on click, we'll say toggle menu, we'll say is open, and inside that we can take the span. We'll display the icon and the label. And that's the only thing we have to do. So I hope you have understood that we have coded this huge component, and that's what we are calling in our component. Perfect. So simply cut this component. Let's bring it inside this and paste here. Now every single thing is good. Save it. Let's click here. Here we have that. Click on this and it will open that. Perfect. We have all of that. Light and dark mode is working good. So we are done with this entire mega menu. I know this component is really very huge. There's tons of things we have included with the animation and events. So tons of feature we have. So all of this looks absolutely great. So this is the button which is left, which we're going to start working. So come back here and let's minimize this one. Come back here and close this one, close this one. Now we have to start working on our button. And this one we're going to start working in the next video. Okay. So see you in the next video. Have a wonderful day.